Anyways, let's do some shooting. Oh, beautiful.
Good evening. Are we live? We might be live. Yes, good evening, everybody. Mass panic as I walked into the room, and it said I had 16 seconds until I was meant to be starting. So a very quick go there. Right, let me shut some of that down. Yes, good evening. I am currently absolutely bloody melting because it's so clammy around here. The weather is utterly ridiculous. Outside it's probably about 15 degrees now, but in here I don't think it's felt. It says 25 on the room stat. It feels warmer than that. It is dripping off me. So anyways, welcome to tonight's episode 11 of Andy's Take. Thank you all very much for coming along. It's an absolute goddamn pleasure to have you. Good evening, Tommy. Evening, Peter. Evening, John. And evening, other John. Yeah, I wouldn't like to be anywhere near Bournemouth the beach either. All I can say is I hope it rains for the entire summer, but the good old general public of the British Isles can't be trusted to be sensible. So I don't want tourism businesses to be going out of business, but we could do with some bloody rain over the summer just to keep everybody a bit sensible. So yes, some horrendously busy scenes on Bournemouth Beach yesterday on the news here in the UK. So going by that, we're probably going to catch up with what Florida is currently undergoing at the minute, which is a massive spike. So yeah, COVID hasn't gone away on everybody. You know, it's still essential journeys, still social distancing. Only go out if you have to, work from home if you can't, if that's the only way to do it. If you can't, whatever the way it is. I'm not in charge. I shouldn't be preaching these things. So yes. Quite right, John. There are too many idiots in the UK. Hi, Stephanie. Good to see you. And at some stage, I will reply to an email that you sent last week. I'm sure you did. I just remembered earlier today that I had an email to reply to about 10 days ago. I only just remembered today because if it's not in like the top 6 of my inbox, it gets forgotten. Good afternoon, Ozzy, or good evening, whichever way around you want to do it. Hope you're well. Hi, Jerome. Always good to see you as well. Iowa's having a spike as well. To be honest, I think probably the entire US is having a spike now. I think it was I was one of the US evening hosts. He put a thing on Twitter yesterday, and it was a graphic, and it was America flattening the curve, as in the curve had gone back up to where it was at the very, very peak back in late March, early April, or whenever it was. Utterly horrendous. It doesn't bear thinking about, to be honest. It is awful. I know people have been shut away indoors for a few months and all that and want to get out in the nice weather, but please, we're going to be stuck indoors for bloody months if you don't settle down and whatever, all that. Yes, Nicholas, do I often sell prints of my pics? I don't sell them often enough, but I do sell them. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's not an easy way of doing it, but it is part of my business. This is a business that I do. It's not just me sitting here on a Tuesday, on a Friday, doing YouTube for an hour. It is all part of a business. I am self-employed. I do not work for anybody else. So, thankfully, my overheads are quite low. Otherwise, I'd have been having to get another job probably about 9 years ago, because it's 10 years ago since I went self-employed. So, anyways, good evening, Diane, as well. And Diane, thank you very much. You are a absolute gem. Thank you for your delivery today. I shall enjoy. Yeah, I was going to say I think it's meant to be a wet weekend, but I'm going to enjoy a couple of pints thanks to you. So thank you very much for that. Very, very kind. So yes, Tomek, I think there's a lot of, depending on where you are in the world, there's a lot of data manipulation with elections and stuff like that. But anyway, if we talk about elections in the US, I mean to me, coming from Britain, where up until now it's been, there hasn't been a lot of doctoring elections and manipulating figures. To see that, they're closing polling stations to the point where there's one polling station for 600,000 people. That's not right. And you call it a democracy. And that's just... Anyways, why has this turned into a political thing? It shouldn't be. This should be about editing photographs. So yeah, anyway, and today I was nothing to do with politics at all. And today I was playing around with this and some recording software and just seeing if I could string a sentence together long enough for more than a minute to possibly do some kind of podcast thing, which might be nice. So we will see how that goes forward. But I've got a list of things to do first. A podcast is one of them distractions you think about on a Friday afternoon when you don't want to do something because it's too bloody hot. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice because it's so warm. Yeah. Oh. So much fluid needed today. It's too hot. Good evening, Justin. Good to see you. And I think you're right there, John. There's going to be certain spikes in certain places, but yeah, Boris is no leader. He's just a mouthpiece. It's very kind of you, Diane. Very, very kind. Well, I don't know about that, Peter. I once spoke to somebody that is on... There might be one on the local county council. So that's like... But it's like county, I think they were a county councillor. And I was saying to them, I was like, oh, you want to be doing this, you want to do this, you want to do this, and you want to forget about all this. And she ended by saying, have you ever fancied being a county councillor? I'm like, no, I want nothing to do with life. Being on the parish council is bad enough. I hate that. 37 degrees C in the centre of France, Jerome. That is far too warm. Is, like I said, it's 25 in here this minute, and that's about 3 degrees hotter than I can cope with and try to do any work. Yeah, it was nice and cool when I went out before, because we are hopefully going to get rained on soon. There is rain on its way, so that'll be nice. Right, I have rambled for approximately 9 minutes already. So I think being able to ramble for a podcast will be no problem whatsoever. The problem will be getting people to listen to it. And also, I did change a couple of audio settings, so let me know if it's gone downhill or whether it's better. I kind of dialed something down because when I was watching him back, like the last two things since I got the new mic, it is the audio sounded a bit cut out, as if it was like a kind of compression or something like that. I don't know. Audio, it's a weird science. So tonight, like I said, I don't know if you've been on my Facebook today. Quite right, Diane. Yes, anything over 20 can go to hell. Yeah, if it was 15 degrees all year round, I would be a happy bunny. Actually, to be honest, some of the winters have been about 15 degrees recently. But yeah, it's there's no need for it to be any warmer than that. I can wear shorts when it's about 12 degrees. No problem at all. Right, as I was just about to say, if you've been on my Facebook today, that I did put a call out for images because I am running short for these Fridays. If you want these Fridays to continue, so I'm starting getting a little bit limited. So tonight I'm going to start off with some Salisbury Cathedrals. Quite kindly speak properly, Andy. Some Salisbury Cathedral kindly supplied by John Dexter. Which I've already played with a good few weeks ago now, but we were going to start afresh with a new, put them together again with a new set of data, because it looks like I didn't do much to them when I put them together. So let us remember how to work this screen thing like so. So yeah, John's quite kindly supplied me these ICMs of Salisbury Cathedral, and the ones I'd played around with before off camera are these ones. So we're going to go back to basics and deselect those ones. What are you doing? And we're going to work on these. Let's pick a middle of the road kind of exposure. Very nice. Right. So you can probably hear my computer in the background as well. It doesn't like the warmth either. Develop. Help. Lens corrections, for some reason hasn't recognized it. I'm presuming it is Nikon, and I'm presuming it's maybe 50mm, John, if you're there. Yeah, probably. Roundabout then. Noise reduction's fine. Basic. Good. A bit of landscape just to enhance the colours a bit. Well, as long as it's 90 plus over there, Aussie, that's fine by me. Just don't send it this way. Right, let's pull a bit of these shadows out just to see how that's going. Increase the contrast. Starting to get a feeling of evening. I think John probably shot this in the evening. Oh, I heard they changed the UI. Technical. All right, John. That's interesting. That's probably why it wasn't showing up in Lightroom. And just thinking about the distance, yeah, it would have been quite a distance. But yeah, just bit early to go red yet. Ooh, now we could maybe go a little cooler. That would be a little bit different for me, wouldn't it? No, I would rather go the evening shot, to be honest. So there's a little bit more colour in there. Almost misty early morning we can kind of think about there. Just a little bit of dehaze just to soften it out a bit. We can maybe get that early morning impression from this, John. Hi Gillian, welcome back. You mustn't have hated it that much. You've come back for a second go. Thank you very much for coming along. Got my voice today. I think I'm gonna have to inject that keg of cider into my veins to rehydrate myself. Right, did lens corrections, that's fine. That's not too bad. And you seem to open out them shadows a little more again. Nice and edgy in there, that's fine. So we've got a range of lightness. I don't know whether you can see along the bottom here. We've got like a darker exposure and a. So I'm thinking whether the settings were slightly different or not, but going to sync all these settings across each image. Not going to do anything to that end one, and going to match total exposures. That should, I was going to say that should even them up. It doesn't, if you can see this one here. He's very, very dark. So I'm going to have to manually whack that. Whack that exposure up quite a bit. Why is that one not actually? It hasn't had all the same settings applied. Oh no, it has. It has. I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy. It's because I changed the preset. That's why it changed. That's why it went from the landscape color setting. Andy, will you stop? That's why I changed. My mistake. Evening, Suzanne. Good to see you. Hi, Sten. Yes, unfortunately, we don't hang around here. Unless I get distracted and forget when to start on time. I walked in the room with 16 seconds to go tonight. So it was a bit of a panic job to press the buttons to get us there. Right, so the others are all synced together, and I've just realised I haven't opened Photoshop, so this might take a little while. Open as layers in Photoshop, and we will sit back and relax. And wait. Right, check the phone, see what rubbish is on here. not a lot. Oh. Everybody else complaining about the hot weather in the UK there? Is it warm over in Denmark as well, Sten? Is it it's a bit warm here, this side of the North Sea. I'd imagine it's pretty bloody not warm over there as well. See, when we're waiting for this is when we should talk about the political stuff. Fill in this time. Right, there we go. All loaded up, lovely. Right, as per usual, we'll just blend these together. See what kind of fun shapes we can get. Soft light is looking like an option. Soft light, I think. Oh, can't cope with heat at all. Right, it's this bottom beastie causing all the issues. See, without it, I mean, you don't have to do anything. It's just a lovely misty morning. This one layer causing havoc. So we'll bring that up there so it's kind of straight-ish. I do like that, you know, the definement, if that's a word, of the trees. Where's that one? That hasn't got a lot of detail, I must admit. Stick that in there. About in there. Barely see where that one is. Roughly in there somewhere. And then this top layer is the one that's supplying all this lovely light. Oh, melting. Right. Because without this layer on, it looks a gorgeous misty morning kind of shot. I'm just going to kind of blend out this area here. Stop it, Peter. No gorillas. Though I can see what you mean. Mask. I'm just going to mask out this kind of area just to soften it off. It's not that heavy. Let's go 40% and reduce the flow as well. Just soften that, get rid of that gorilla. Soften that off. Misty mornings. So on and so forth. Actually, we can probably go a little bit stronger there. Just working that line out. Lovely. Right. The crop. So instead of cropping out that line out. Just give us a little bit more foreground, or well, it's not really foreground, but a little bit more to play with. I mean, ideally I would try to expand the you know, keep as much of the canvas above, but because that top layer is the one that's providing all this lovely soft light, I'm not going to do it. Yeah, no room for King Kong in this image. Alright, I'm just going to duplicate that all there. Screen, and then drop the opacity. Just a smidgen. Do an inverted mask, and then I'm going to paint in that faded area kind of in this corner. Just because I thought it was a little bit dark. Now, of course, we've got that bloody line there, haven't we? Never thought of that. Bugger. Erase. There we go. Line is gone. I'll just soften that corner a little bit, because without it, it was a bit dark. So, you know, in reality, could just stop there, but we're not going to. A bit of hue and saturation. I'm going to do an option where I could possibly just leave it at this, because I do quite like it. How red? So using this, adding this lightness to almost enhance that foggy, misty kind of feel. Making this area here look a bit crap now. So for the foggy version, we could just turn that layer off, or dial that back a little bit more, so it's like 15%. Rather than 30. Right, that's better. Just softens that off a little bit. Yeah, I didn't do a lot to the colour there. It's still retaining that warm yellow early morning feel. That's fine. So, just for a giggle, we'll have a look at Analog Efex Pro and see what happens with it. See if we get anything when we start blending the layers together, when we do the double exposure and all those kind of things. So this takes a bloody age as well. Them clouds getting more rain-like, more you know, that thundery kind of cloudage. I hope so. Have I not cropped to the bottom of that image properly? Andy, you goddamn amateur. too faded. Excuse me. Tired as well. That looks not bad. It's kind of enhanced that yellow feel, make it a little bit more vivid. It's kind of giving it a bit of sky structure to it as well. Let's increase the exposure a little bit. Quite like that. I very much am into, you know, very light, minimal kind of images at the minute. So ideally, that should be maybe it's about there, where I had it before. Keep it going, Peter. We need brightened up tonight. I do. Well, I was going to say it's not a very long story because I can't remember half of it. But when I was with the lads for a trip up the west coast of Scotland 5 years ago, you know, we were there for a week. So week's trip, you know, week's trip in a van, staying at various places on the way, and we started taking them, like trying to get people's names out of camera brands and effects and things. I can't remember some of the examples. It's really annoying. Otherwise, it would have been a better story. But without the names, I can't remember that. But it was a similar kind of thing, like Content Nowhere Phil. Can't remember any. There's some really good ones, and I just can't remember. If Andrew was on, he would let us know most of them. Fun days, fun days. It's a bit strong, that. It probably is, Peter. It probably is. Good evening, Nigel. Good to see you. Hope you're well. I was just wondering, Nigel, were you one of the people that got their reject letter from reject email from Landscape Photographer of the Year? That's all apart from political stuff and COVID and all that kind of stuff. That's all I've seen on Twitter this week. Is people getting rejected for Landscape Photographer of the Year. Oh, well, you're one of the lucky ones that have gone further and can't see anything. Sworn to secrecy. Alright. Well, I was wondering how far I dare push these. Remembering I do actually have to print them at some stage. And usually when I print them I end up lightening them like quite a lot. So just because you're not representing something that's backlit, when you've got to do it, you've got to lighten it a lot. Ah, you didn't enter. You saved your money. I did see somebody saying it was the last year of entering, they're going to donate the money to charity instead. You got yours today, Justin. I'd forgotten you'd got some through. Very well done for getting some through to that stage. I've seen David Byrne, who drops in here now and again. He got the two he got through. They've been rejected. So sad times this week. I was actually surprised how quickly they were announcing all these. It's usually takes them a little while to get going. And then we've all got to sit there till about October till it's announced. It's a long time. Well, announced, and then you see the winner and start criticising, as is usually the case. It's like, what do you mean that piece of shit work won? There's another good idea, good versions down here, which I think we'll return to for more versions. Maybe John's going to have a fully inbox by the time I've emailed him all these versions. Right, I'm just going to commit to that version. It came out quite nicely. It is good to, I mean Twitter these days, it's, for me, it's just not a photography platform anymore. It's too much news and complaining. So it is nice to actually be on Twitter and see some images that I haven't seen before that are absolutely stunning and somehow haven't got through. I mean, I've all but stopped posting images on Twitter. I've nearly stopped posting images on Instagram as well. But that's rate of work, not well, it's quality control, but it's just having anything good enough to put on. Recently, bit light. Ooh. Excuse me. Go to bed at night. Quite like that one. Another very light and airy, dreamy kind of image. You know, it's lighter than the previous version. Fade it, not that much faded. I would like it quite light. Nice. So in here, because it's, you know, to me, because my colour balance is a bit off, that looks a bit bluey. So in the blue channel, on the blue curve, just going to pull that down just a touch, which will add in a little smidgen of yellow to it. Well, the thing I do, Nigel, for Twitter anyway, because everything else is algorithm driven. For Twitter, you can switch it so you see latest first, or if you use TweetDeck, it's always in chronological order. So that's the way I work it. Yeah, quite like that one. I think I'm going to do that one next. So we're going to have a lot to choose from tonight. Oh, if there's any Liverpool fans in tonight, congratulations on winning the Premier League last night. Fantastic. 30 years. It's such a long time since they won the Premier League. I was a fan the last time they won the top division. Yeah. Oh, you're right. You're right, Nigel. I mean, usually on Twitter, it's because I don't spend my entire day on it anymore, like I used to at one stage. What's that one like? Pull that steeple across just to see you got a bit of definition. No, it doesn't work. Right, down this list. How far did we get? Oh, well then, for dark times, I like this one. Oh, Nigel's not a Liverpool fan then. John, I am a Newcastle fan. I started being a Newcastle fan in 1995 when I went to university and decided I need a football club that I kind of lived near. But for Man United, you've had plenty of bloody success in the last 25 years, man. Give our. Think about being a Newcastle fan. 1969 was the last time we won anything, and it was some poxy cup. It was like what was it? It was the League Cup back then or something like that. Anyways. But yes, I am a Newcastle fan now, but for a while in my childhood I was a Liverpool fan because it's football and I have no brand loyalty whatsoever. I'm sure everybody is not appreciating all this football talk. Actually, now these days the only reason I kind of follow any of the football is for the fantasy team. I decided a few years ago I had no idea who all the players were anymore, so I had to educate myself. So I joined up to the fantasy league thing. So I wasn't like watching an England game and who's that? Like I did in the last World Cup. There was somebody called Parker I think it was Parker playing for England, and I thought it was Paul Parker, and I thought he played in about 1990. Right, lens vignette. Would you click on the right thing? Do I like that without that? It's very bright though. How much data is in there? Not a lot, I'd imagine. I'll lighten that a little bit so it's not so dark. I'm quite liking that. Drop the saturation a touch. It's a bit yellow. Nudge it up a little bit. Yeah, it's not bad. Is it better than that default one? No. Undo that. It's alright, yeah. It's not my best work ever. Don't quote that, Nigel. That was a dark, dark time. Actually, now I look at it, look back on it, and just laugh. It's quite funny. Because you just go, oh, curve, man. I don't know. I'm sure Blackpool won something since more recently than Newcastle. Bound to have. I know we've won the championship a few times, but that doesn't really count because that means you have to get relegated to win it. Right, is there anything below here that would do another job? That one possibly. So Norham watercolour. Yeah, Norham watercolour and then this end one. Right, confirm that. Might get 4 versions out of this, maybe even 5 because we've had that starting point as well. Oh, Diane must be another Man United supporter. Obviously, because she lives in the area. Yeah, you don't see the original. Well, the original is Salisbury Cathedral. Kindly supplied by John Dexter. So let me just start this one again. Please rain soon. Melting here. I don't think we're going to get any thunder though. Unfortunately. Could do with it to clear the air a bit. Right. What was it? Norham something. Norham watercolour yellow. Good descriptive names, Andy. Yeah, drop that a little bit, drop the balance. Drop the saturation. Put the saturation back up. Yeah, quite like, yeah, it's better, softer there. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Film type, yeah, it's fine. It's fine, it's nearly straight out of the box. That preset worked lovely. Hi Kazzy, good to see you again. Thank you for coming along. No matter how late you are, it doesn't matter, you're always welcome. You've been hogging all the thunderstorms. Yeah, I mean all week they've been saying, oh, it'll break down, there'll be thunder showers, and it'll be, you know, get a deluge if you get hit by it. But here, it's just kind of, it's like all of a sudden last night they decided it was going to probably fizzle out. And so it is. I wasn't sure if I heard a rumble there. Probably just me table rattling. Right, one last version. It's all right, Kazzy. One day I'll make it on time as well. If you were here at the start, then I was here with 16 seconds to spare. That's how bad I am. Nearly late for my own show, live stream, whatever you want to call this. Show sounds a bit pretentious. Right, light over that side. Excuse me. I know a lot of these have been quite yellow today. Some days you just get that. It's getting to the point where I do think I need to get out more, because I can't seem to get away from a certain view and process in a certain way. It's all getting a little frustrating. I need to get out. Although I will be able to get to Lindisfarne next week, so that'll be good. Soften that edge a little bit, that's fine. It's maybe a little bit unbalanced. No, that's probably alright. Yeah, I think that's alright. Not the best one, I don't think. We'll see. Bright sunshine, misty morning, whatever. So, okay, that one as well. So I think we've got a good few versions tonight. We've got 10 minutes left, so no need to do any more. So we'll just take our time saving these back into Lightroom. So we'll just take a few minutes to work my way through these back into Lightroom. And then we'll do some cropping. Get some finished images. And see which one's best. Some might need a further tweak in Lightroom. Some might just need deleted. Oh, Island would be nice. Yeah. I've seen a little bit of it on telly and stuff like that. Does look good. But I don't think I'll be travelling for this year, unfortunately. Alright. So just going to try to rattle through these. Files, save as. -2. Undo. This is what I do when I have multiple layers where they're all kind of finished. I just flatten a layer and then do a save as a PSD. Just give it a different file name. Save it. And then undo, and that gives you all the layers back again. Just always remember to do save as, otherwise you'll overwrite your previous one and you'll be buggered then. Save. Undo. Flatten. File. So you do it that many times and you completely forget what you were doing. Then you start messing up and hitting the wrong buttons. Right, is that all 5 there? Yeah, all 5 there. Grand. And actually I'll undo all that so we've got a kind of starting point. And give that flattened. Save as. Number 6. And back to Lightroom. Yeah, so all of these I can now give. Where's rating? Set rating 3 stars. I can give them all 3 stars because they are kind of finished. Right, what else do you think? Do I ever edit in black and white? Very, very rarely. I think I've maybe made 2 whole images in black and white. I don't think I've. The thing is, I used to do a lot of black and white earlier, but this is all about the interaction of color and color blending, and just excites me a little bit more than what black and white photography does. Yeah, so ICM and black and white. It's got to be the right scene. It's almost got to be like a street scene, because that's when you would shoot black and white generally, in my mind. So yeah. Right, so we've got all these images. So we need get off. Excuse me. Right, which one deserves a crop? That one, I think. I think these two are probably my favourites. Maybe it's that one. So this one, we'll start with this one. We'll start with this one. This one I am thinking... How far from 2x3 are we? Right. Let's go long. 2b1. Bring that in a touch so that edge touches that. Not convinced. I think it needs that red kind of coming into it. 3x2. Frustrating. Maybe the old trusty 9x5 is working a treat there. Right, so this much more watery one, almost solid colour throughout. Again, that's going to chop off a bit there. Bit of that. And then I could nearly dare to send this in to Stephanie for the cover of the next magazine. Yes, if anybody, I think it's still open, Stephanie, isn't it? That if you are interested in trying out for the cover of the next ICM photo mag, then I think if you're a member of the Facebook group, you can submit to possibly be on the cover. Portrait orientation image, obviously. Correct me if I'm wrong, Stephanie, in the chat. Create a virtual copy. I'm just going to do something else with this just to see. Definitely square works. Get up there. Nice-ish. Let's try a longer one. What is it about 9x5 and me? It's just I seem to latch onto it quite well. Has it? All right. Well, no, I mean, for a lot of people, all I need to do is just crop it to 7x5 or 4x3 or 3x4, I should say. 2x3. Let me squeeze it in. It's not like you're retaining detail with ICM. Right, crop this one. Actually, create a virtual copy. We're not going over the top of everything else. And this one, I was kind of aiming for square, but I think it needs to be smaller. I think square would have worked had I had more sky to play with. And unfortunately, it's not very good at creating all that area through fake stuff. We could maybe have another side like that. It kind of reminds me of my Manchester image last year. Just switching it up by cropping to the other side. A little bit more interesting, maybe. Do another one of these. Nine by 5, why not? bit more sky. Tuck it in. Is that a bit high? Bit better. I think that's a bit better. Right. Well, we've hit the hour mark. Fantastic. Well timed, Andy. So yeah, out of to be honest, I thought I'd be editing 2 images today, but here we are. We are editing. We've edited 1, and I think it's gone rather well. So hopefully, if John's still there, he's enjoyed the process. Actually, this one with that, I'm just going to do the same as I did with the previous, and do the crop that side. As an option. Come on. I don't know whether it's a little bit more balanced. I think that one is a bit far to one side, but I did do that deliberately, just to create that tension. I think I am probably happier with that there. Happier with that one, obviously, because it's 9x5 crop. Yeah. I think my photography is going minimalist, as in it's not happening, Peter. How do I get PSD files to show in Lightroom? Providing you, when you, well, for one thing, it's got to be set up as saving as PSD, and there's probably a tick box to say once you've saved it in Photoshop, it then adds it to your catalogue. I think, Stephanie. But to get the Photoshop file, like each Photoshop file from, if you like edit it, and then go in and then come out of it again, like you've got to do it in the one. Otherwise, you've then got to go with Lightroom. You've got to go to your the folder that it's in and add that to the catalogue rather than it doing it automatically. Yeah, that's probably it, Nigel. Because if I was to open one of these PSD files in Photoshop from Lightroom again, and then save it as a different file, I think I would have to go to the folder and import it. So I think it'd be something like that, yeah. Right, that's strange, Stephanie. Should do. It's like it's almost any image format it'll latch onto. Unless it's the really big PSD. Well, no, it'll be a PSB file, isn't it? If it's like one of the massive ones that are over 2 gigabytes. Maybe they don't handle them, but normal PSD files. Because, I mean, you've got the option of saving as a TIFF and all that stuff. Well, I just save them as a PSD. Don't know why, but I do. Yeah. I mean, like if you do it the once, the PSD shows up in the catalogue, just like the TIFF does, like you say in chat there. But it might depend on what your preferences are in Lightroom. Because in Lightroom, I think it'll actually, like the raw file, if you open it in Lightroom from Photoshop, the default might be a TIFF rather than a PSD. So maybe that's got something to do with it. I'm not sure. Have a look through your preferences in Lightroom. Yeah, probably some kind of... It'll be a tick box somewhere. Yes, I'm very happy with it, John. Thank you very much. And again, thank you very much for letting me play with your images. Very, very kind of you. And like everybody else that supplies images for us to play around with, very, very kind of you to let me do that, because not everybody wants their work shown on YouTube or have anybody else to edit them or anything like that. So you are very, very kind for supplying me these images and this data. I thoroughly enjoy doing this editing on other people's images. I started this particular series of streams because of the whole COVID outbreak and all that, and the fact that we weren't going anywhere. I don't know for a fact I wasn't going to be going anywhere, and I'd already run out of things to edit. So I mean, getting to play with everybody's images has been a godsend. So I can't thank you all enough for playing along, letting me, not only show your images off, but letting me put my own stamp on them. So much appreciated. And I mean, at the very first few episodes, I even edited straight stuff as well. It wasn't just ICM, but we seem to have gone down the ICM route, which isn't bad. That's basically why I'm here. That's why I have a YouTube channel. Is because of ICM and abstract stuff and all this editing. I'd have about 3 followers if it was about my normal photography. So even though ICM is very, very niche. Right. That is strange, Stephanie. Not sure how much more I can help. Maybe get in touch with Adobe. They'll be able to let you know how to do it. There'll be a setting somewhere, I'm sure. Like even on like file types that Lightroom wants to import, if PSD isn't on that list, then it'll probably not show up as an option to bring in. So yeah. Yes, Ozzy, the chat blocks. The chat blocks links, unfortunately. Even if it's good links, is one of them awkward things. And I can't even click a button to allow it either, which is really frustrating at times. Right, it is nearly 1 hour and 10, so I will just wrap up now. Thank you very much for watching tonight. However many of you that are out there, it's been wonderful. I do always enjoy, like I always enjoy Tuesday nights and Friday nights. Always. File handling changer there. Right, okay. Well, we're getting there anyway. So that's good. I will just click some buttons so I can get out of this in a timely manner. So yes, thank you very much for watching. It's been a bloody pleasure as always. Yeah, stay safe out there, everybody. The world is still mad. There's still plenty of this virus going around, and it's probably going to come back. Maybe it's harder than ever. Spanish flu said, they said there was more people killed and died in the second and third wave than what there was in the first wave. And Spanish flu killed about 500 million or something. A hell of a lot of people. So we don't want that happening. So be safe, everybody. Wear your masks, wash your hands, and all that stuff. And yeah, until the next one. Oh, if you've enjoyed this stream, not been too upset by all the politics, do hit the like button, leave a comment, and hopefully see you on Tuesday for Tuesday night edits. And I might eventually get around to editing a vlog and putting that out sometime soon. So if you want to partake in these Friday nights, then send your images to the instructions are in the thingy below. So do that if you would like to play along. And so we will see you soon. Bye, Dan. Thank you very much again for your kind gift. So everybody have a grand weekend, and we'll see you. So until then, keep it hard. See you.